The muggy August heat in Brooklyn was almost unbearable that Friday afternoon. Emma leaned against the window of the architecture firm where she worked, watching the traffic crawl along Atlantic Avenue 12 stories below. The AC struggled against the New York summer, and she felt small beads of sweat trickling down the back of her neck despite being inside. Her phone buzzed on the drafting table. It was a text from Sarah. "Babe, going to be late again tonight. Important client meeting. Don't wait up for me, okay? Love you." Emma sighed, feeling that familiar tightness in her chest. This was the third time that week Sarah would be coming home late. She typed a quick response. "No problem. Love you too." And tucked the phone away. "Everything okay, Em?" The voice of Madison, her best friend and coworker, pulled her from her thoughts. Madison rolled her chair over and sat beside her, concern evident on her face. "Is it Sarah again?" Madison asked gently. Emma nodded, biting her lower lip. "Third time this week, Mads. And look, I trust her, I really do. But it's starting to bother you," Madison finished. "It's not just that." Emma turned to her friend, words rushing out urgently. "She's been acting strange. You know when you know someone so well that you notice the little changes? Sarah's always on her phone now, but she turns the screen away when I get close. Yesterday I saw her deleting messages. And when I ask about work, she changes the subject quickly." Madison frowned. "Have you talked to her about it?" "I tried. Twice. But she says everything's fine, that it's just work stress, that the law firm has several new cases and she needs to focus more." Emma ran her hands through her long chestnut hair, frustrated. "And I want to believe her, Mads, I really do. But your gut is telling you something different." Emma nodded slowly. Her relationship with Sarah had always been special. They met 2 years ago at an art gallery opening in Chelsea, both admiring the same contemporary art installation. The connection was instant. They started talking about the artwork and ended the night sharing beers at a table in the West Village, laughing and sharing stories until dawn. Sarah was everything Emma had ever dreamed of. Smart, funny, caring, with that smile that could light up any room. A civil rights attorney, Sarah had a passion for justice that Emma found inspiring. They'd been living together for a year in a cozy apartment in Park Slope, with a view of Prospect Park and a balcony where they grew herbs and succulents. But in recent weeks, something had changed, and Emma couldn't ignore it anymore. "You know what my friends from the volleyball league said yesterday?" Emma continued, her voice low. "That I should test Sarah, like pretend I'm asleep and see what she does when she thinks I'm unconscious." Madison made a face. That sounds like an invasion of privacy. And kind of dramatic?" "I know," Emma exclaimed, shaking her head. "That's exactly what I thought. But at the same time, Mads, I'm going crazy here. I can't sleep right. I keep ruminating. What if she's, I don't know, hiding something from me? What if she's not? What if it really is just work and you create an unnecessary problem?" Emma fell silent, looking at her own hands. Madison was right, but doubt was like a parasite, growing and feeding on every small, strange behavior from Sarah. "Look." Madison placed her hand on Emma's shoulder. "You need to either trust or have a serious conversation. This middle ground will destroy you." That evening, Emma arrived at their Park Slope apartment around 8. The space was small but welcoming, a one-bedroom they decorated together, mixing Emma's minimalist style with Sarah's more bohemian taste. Plants scattered everywhere, colorful throw pillows on the couch. Photographs of them from trips hung on the walls. Emma prepared a light dinner, salad with grilled chicken, but ate alone, distracted, watching an episode of a Netflix series without paying real attention. Her phone was beside her, and she checked every few minutes, waiting for some update from Sarah. At 9:30, a message arrived. "Still at the office, babe. Probably won't be done until midnight at least. Really sorry. Love you so much." Emma typed and deleted 3 different responses before finally sending a simple, "No worries. Love you too." She took a long shower, letting the warm water wash away the day's tension. But while she was there, under the spray, her friend's words echoed in her head. "Pretend you're asleep. See what she does. You deserve to know the truth. At 11 p.m., Emma was lying in the bed she shared with Sarah. The ceiling fan spun lazily overhead, pushing the warm air from side to side. The white sheets were cool against her skin, and she wore a light cotton tank top. And then she made the decision. She would pretend to be asleep when Sarah got home. Just this once. Just to make sure she was being paranoid, that there was nothing to worry about. Emma settled into bed, lying on her side with her back to the door. She let her breathing become deep and regular, practicing. Her heart was pounding. Part of her felt ridiculous, another part was genuinely nervous. If you've ever had moments of doubt in a relationship, stay with us. Subscribe to the channel to see how this story unfolds. At 12:15, Emma heard the key turning in the lock. Her muscles tensed involuntarily, but she forced herself to remain still, keeping her eyes closed, breathing deep and steady. Sarah's footsteps were soft in the hallway. Emma heard her stop in the kitchen, the sound of the faucet turning on, a glass being filled with water. Then, footsteps approaching the bedroom. The door opened with an almost imperceptible creak. Emma kept her eyes closed, her heart now beating so hard she was certain Sarah could hear it. Sarah entered the room quietly. Emma could sense her girlfriend's presence, that familiarity of 2 years together. Sarah stood still for a moment. Emma could imagine her there, probably checking if Emma was really asleep. Then, instead of getting ready for bed, Sarah did something unexpected. She left the room again, closing the door carefully. Emma heard footsteps in the hallway, heading toward the second bedroom they used as an office. That door closed. What was happening? Emma stayed in bed for a few more minutes, her brain working furiously. Sarah wasn't getting ready for bed. She wasn't showering. She was in the office, at this hour of the night, after supposedly having spent the entire day working. Doubt and curiosity won out. Emma got up silently, her bare feet making no sound on the hardwood floor. She walked to the bedroom door and opened it slowly, peeking down the hallway. A faint light came from under the office door. Emma could hear muffled sounds. Was Sarah talking to someone, on the phone, or alone? Emma's heart was racing now. Part of her screamed to go back to bed, not to invade Sarah's privacy. But another part, that part corroded by weeks of doubt, pushed her forward. She walked down the hallway, each step an eternity. She approached the office door, placing her ear against the wood. Sarah was talking. Her voice was low, almost a whisper, but Emma could make out some words. Needs to be perfect. She can't suspect anything. It's a surprise. Emma felt her stomach sink. Sarah was definitely hiding something. But what? Who was she talking to? She took a deep breath and, before she could regret it, knocked softly on the door. The silence was instantaneous on the other side. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then Sarah opened the door abruptly, her face showing surprise and guilt. You're awake. Sarah was wearing the same pantsuit she'd left in that morning, but now it looked wrinkled and tired. Her brown eyes were wide, and she instinctively moved her body to block Emma's view of the office interior. Are you talking to someone? Emma asked, her voice coming out colder than she intended. Me? No, I was just organizing some work documents. Sarah's answer came too quickly, too rehearsed. Sarah. Emma crossed her arms. I heard you talking to someone. You were listening to me? Now there was a defensive note in Sarah's voice. You're coming home late every week. You're always on your phone, deleting messages, and now you're hiding in the office in the middle of the night. What do you expect me to think? Sarah closed her eyes, running her hand over her face. When she opened them again, there were tears there. Please. You need to trust me. I was trusting you. Emma's voice rose involuntarily. But you're obviously hiding something. I know how it looks. Sarah took a step forward, trying to take Emma's hands, but she pulled them away. But I promise you, it's not what you're thinking. Then tell me what it is. I can't. Not yet. Emma felt tears burning her own eyes. Can't or won't. Emma, please, you know what's funny? Emma interrupted, her voice breaking. My friends told me to do this stupid test, and I said I didn't need to, that I trusted you. And here I am, finding out I was right about you hiding something, but now feeling terrible because I invaded your privacy. You pretended to be asleep? Sarah asked quietly. Emma didn't respond, but the answer was clear on her face. Sarah took a deep breath. Okay, I understand why you did it, and I know I've been strange, but I swear on my life, Emma, it's nothing bad. It's just complicated, and I need you to trust me just a little bit longer. How long? 2 weeks. Just 2 more weeks, and everything will make sense. Emma looked into Sarah's eyes, searching for signs of lies, but all she saw was sincerity and fear. Sarah was afraid. But of what? 2 weeks, Emma repeated. And then you tell me everything? Everything, Sarah promised, finally managing to take Emma's hands. I promise you, babe. And when you know, you'll understand why I couldn't tell you before. Emma wanted to believe. God, how she wanted to believe. But doubt had already planted deep roots. Okay, she said finally, her voice tired. 2 weeks. Sarah pulled her into a hug, and Emma allowed it, feeling her girlfriend's familiar body against hers. But even there, in the warmth of that embrace, a part of her remained cold, questioning, doubting. 2 weeks. She could handle 2 weeks, or couldn't she? The following weekend was strange. Emma and Sarah circled around each other in the apartment like careful dancers, each trying to maintain an appearance of normalcy, while tension hung in the air like humidity before a New York thunderstorm. On Saturday morning, Emma woke early to find Sarah already in the kitchen, making coffee. The smell of fresh bagels, Sarah must have gone to the corner deli, filled the apartment, mixing with the strong aroma of brewing coffee. Good morning, Sarah smiled, but there was a forced attempt in that smile. Made coffee just the way you like it. Thanks. Emma sat at the small kitchen table, watching Sarah move through the space. She wore pajama shorts and an old Coachella t-shirt, her hair pulled into a messy bun. Even so, Emma thought she was beautiful, but beauty didn't erase doubt. I thought we could go to Prospect Park today, Sarah suggested, placing a cup of coffee in front of Emma. It's been a while since we went. We could bring that new blanket, spend the day there. Emma took a sip of coffee, feeling the hot liquid go down her throat. Don't you have work? Sarah hesitated. I have some things to do this afternoon, but the morning's free. Of course it is. Emma couldn't avoid the sarcastic tone. Sarah sighed, pulling out a chair and sitting beside her. I know this is hard, but you promised to give me 2 weeks. And you promised you'd explain everything afterward. Emma looked directly into Sarah's eyes. But that doesn't make it easier to be in the dark, Sarah. Sarah reached her hand across the table, touching Emma's fingers gently. I know. And I'm sorry. But it'll be worth the wait, I promise. Emma wanted to ask more, wanted to press, demand answers. But she saw the exhaustion in Sarah's eyes, the dark shadows indicating poorly slept nights. Whatever Sarah was hiding was clearly weighing on her too. Okay. Emma finally agreed. Let's go to the park. Sarah's smile of relief was genuine this time. 2 hours later, they were in Prospect Park, their blankets spread on the warm grass, the summer sun strong on their skin. Emma had applied sunscreen on Sarah's back, her fingers tracing familiar patterns over the tanned skin, and Sarah had done the same for her. The park was crowded, as always on Saturdays. Children ran and laughed. Food trucks offered everything from tacos to artisanal ice cream, the sound of live music mixed with joggers passing by. In the distance, the long meadow stretched out green and inviting against the blue sky. Do you remember the first time we came here together? Sarah asked, lying on her side on the blanket, looking at Emma. Emma smiled despite everything. I remember. You got sunburned because you refused to wear sunscreen. I said I tanned easily, Sarah laughed, that laugh that always made Emma's heart race. And you spent the whole night rubbing aloe vera on my back. You complained all night. It hurt, Sarah protested, but she was still laughing. For a moment, it was like before. Like in the early months when everything was new and exciting, when they stayed up late talking about everything and nothing, when every touch was electric, every look loaded with promises. But then Sarah's phone rang. Emma saw the instant change in Sarah's expression. That quick glance at the screen, that almost imperceptible frown. Sarah grabbed the phone and stood up quickly. "Sorry, babe. I need to take this. It's work." And there she went, walking across the grass, phone pressed to her ear, her voice too low for Emma to hear over the park noise. Emma lay back on the blanket, putting her arm over her eyes to block the sun. She felt that familiar stab of frustration and sadness mixed in her chest. Have you ever felt like this, wanting to trust but the whole situation seems suspicious? Subscribe to the channel, because this story still has many twists. When Sarah returned 15 minutes later, her face was serious. "Em, I'm sorry, but I need to go. Something came up that I need to handle personally." "On Saturday?" Emma sat up, looking at Sarah with disbelief. I know, but it's urgent. You can stay. Enjoy the park. I'll come home as soon as I handle it." Emma felt anger rising. "Seriously, Sarah? We literally just got here. I know, and I'm really sorry. But work is more important," Emma finished bitterly. "It's not that. Em, please, don't be like this." Emma started gathering her things, throwing the blanket and sunscreen into the tote bag with jerky movements. "Fine. Let's go then. You don't have to leave. Stay. Enjoy the sun." "Alone? No thanks." Emma stood up, brushing grass off her legs. "Let's go." The subway ride back to Park Slope was silent. They squeezed into a crowded car, standing pressed between other sweaty and irritated passengers. Sarah tried several times to start a conversation, but Emma responded with monosyllables, looking out the window. When they got to the apartment, Sarah grabbed her bag and car keys. "Shouldn't take too long," she said hesitantly, standing at the door. Emma was on the couch, arms crossed. "Whatever. Just go, Sarah. Do what you have to do." Sarah stood there for another moment, as if wanting to say something. But then she just nodded and left, the door closing behind her with a soft click. Emma was alone in the apartment, heavy silence surrounding her. She looked at the walls decorated with photographs of them, laughing in the Catskills, hugging at the Brooklyn Bridge, making faces at Smorgasburg. Each image was a memory of happy times, of a time when everything seemed simpler. Her phone buzzed. It was a text from Madison. "How's the weekend going? Everything okay with you and Sarah?" Emma typed quickly. "Not great. She just left again. Urgent work on a Saturday morning." Madison's response came fast. "Oh, Em, want me to come over? We can order food and watch something?" Emma considered for a moment but then replied, "Thanks, but I think I just want to be alone for a bit." "Okay. But if you change your mind, call me. And remember, just a week and a half left. Hang in there." Emma tossed her phone on the couch and went to the bedroom. She sat on the bed, looking at Sarah's nightstand. The drawer was slightly open. She shouldn't. It was wrong. It was an invasion of privacy. But before she could stop herself, Emma was opening the drawer. Inside were the usual things: phone charger, some documents, pens, reading glasses. But underneath, there was a notebook. A notebook Emma had never seen before. With her heart pounding, she picked up the notebook and opened it. The first page had just one sentence, written in Sarah's neat handwriting. "Project E. Do not open until ready." Project E? E for Emma? Emma turned the page. It was a detailed plan, with dates, lists, notes. She recognized some names. Madison was there, as well as other friends of Emma's. There were references to vendors, venue, invitations. What was this? Emma was turning more pages when she heard the key in the door. She panicked, closed the notebook quickly, and put it back in the drawer, arranging everything as it was. When Sarah entered the bedroom seconds later, Emma was sitting on the bed, trying to look casual. "Back already?" Emma asked, her voice a bit too high. Sarah looked at her with curiosity. "Yeah, it was faster than I thought. Are you okay? You seem nervous." "I'm fine." Emma stood up quickly. "I'm going to take a shower." In the shower, while the warm water fell over her, Emma tried to process what she'd seen. A project. With her name. Involving her friends. With vendors and venues. What was Sarah planning? Part of her felt relieved. Clearly it wasn't an affair if Sarah was planning something that involved Emma. But another part was even more confused, and strangely, a bit guilty for having looked at the notebook. When she came out of the shower, Sarah was in the kitchen preparing lunch. The smell of garlic and onions filled the apartment. "I'm making that chicken parmesan you love," Sarah said without turning, stirring the pan. "And there's pasta cooking." Emma approached, hugging Sarah from behind, resting her face against her back. She felt Sarah relax in her arms. "Sorry for being difficult earlier," Emma murmured. "You weren't being difficult. I understand your frustration." Sarah turned in Emma's arms, looking into her eyes. "1 more week and a half, okay? Then everything will make sense." Emma nodded, though her brain was still processing the notebook. Project E, all the implications. "I love you," Sarah said softly, touching Emma's face with tenderness. "I love you too," Emma responded, and it was true. Despite all the confusion, all the doubt, she loved Sarah deeply. She just wished that love was enough to erase the uncertainty. The following week was an emotional roller coaster for Emma. During the day, while working on her architecture projects, she could distract herself. But at night, when Sarah came home late, or didn't come home until she was already asleep, the anxiety returned with full force. On Wednesday, Emma met up with Madison and 2 other friends, Riley and Jess, for drinks at a bar in Williamsburg. The place was typical Brooklyn: exposed brick walls, craft beer on tap, indie music playing in the background, the smell of truffle fries in the air. So, Riley, a graphic designer with short rainbow-colored hair, leaned over the table conspiratorially. "How are things with Sarah?" Emma took a long sip of her beer before responding. "Complicated." "Still with this coming home late thing?" Jess asked. She was a high school teacher, direct and no nonsense. "It's not just that." Emma looked around before continuing, as if Sarah might suddenly appear. "I found a notebook in her drawer." "You went through her stuff?" Madison's eyes widened. I know. It was wrong." Emma buried her face in her hands. "But there was a notebook with Project E written on it, and it had lists, names, including yours, Mad's, and references to vendors and venues." The 3 friends exchanged glances. "Project E?" Riley repeated. "As in Emma?" "I'm assuming so." "And you didn't ask her about it?" Jess questioned. "How?" "Hi, honey, I snooped through your stuff and saw your secret notebook." Emma shook her head. "She asked for 2 weeks. Less than a week left now. I'll wait." "But what do you think it is?" Madison asked cautiously. Emma shrugged, but her stomach was tight. "I have no idea. Part of me wants to believe it's something good, you know? Like a nice surprise. But another part is terrified it's something bad." Riley finished gently. "Exactly." Jess took a sip of her whiskey sour. "Look, from what you described, vendors, venues, friends' names, it doesn't sound like something bad, Em. It sounds more like event planning?" "That's what I thought too," Madison agreed quickly. "Like, if it was something bad, why would it involve your friends?" Emma wanted to believe that. God, how she wanted to. But weeks of Sarah's strange behavior had left scars on her confidence. "I don't know," she said finally. "I just know I'm exhausted from feeling this way. From questioning everything. From waiting for the other shoe to drop." Riley reached out and squeezed Emma's hand. "A few more days, friend. Hang in there." On Friday night, exactly 1 week after the failed test, Emma was alone in the apartment again. Sarah had sent a message saying she had another important meeting and would be home late. Emma had prepared dinner, just for herself, since she was tired of making food that got cold waiting for Sarah, and was watching a movie on Netflix when she heard voices in the building's hallway. One of the voices was Sarah's, the other was familiar, but Emma couldn't identify it. Curious, Emma went to the door and opened it slightly, peeking through the gap. Sarah was in the hallway with... Madison? Emma frowned. Madison was there, with a large portfolio under her arm, talking animatedly with Sarah in a low voice. They both seemed excited, almost conspiratorial. When they noticed Emma at the door, they both froze like kids caught red-handed. "Em," Sarah said, her voice a bit too loud. "You're awake." "Hi, Em," Madison waved, looking uncomfortable. "I was just stopping by to pick up some documents I left with Sarah." "Documents?" Emma repeated, looking between the two. "From work," Madison hurried to explain. Sarah was helping me with a legal case. Emma knew it was a lie. Madison worked in architecture. She didn't have any legal case. And from the guilty expression on both their faces, they knew Emma knew. Okay, Emma said slowly. All right then. There was an awkward silence. Then Madison mumbled something about having to go, gave Emma a quick kiss on the cheek, and practically ran to the elevator. Sarah entered the apartment, avoiding Emma's gaze. So, Emma crossed her arms, you and my best friend are having secret meetings now? It's not what you're thinking. I don't even know what I'm thinking anymore, Sarah. Emma's voice rose. You're acting strange, disappearing, having secret conversations with my best friend, who, by the way, was in that mysterious notebook I found. Sarah closed her eyes. You looked at my notebook. Yes, I did, and I feel terrible about it, but you're driving me crazy here. Emma. No, Emma raised her hand. Don't give me a few more days. I want to know now, Sarah. What's happening? What is this project? Why is my best friend involved? And why are you acting like you're hiding something terrible? Sarah was silent for a long moment, clearly fighting an internal battle. Finally, she sighed deeply. Okay, she said quietly. I'll tell you. But you have to promise you won't be mad. I can't promise that until I know what it is. Sarah walked to the couch and sat down, gesturing for Emma to sit beside her. Emma hesitated, but then joined her, maintaining a cautious distance. Remember our conversation 3 months ago? Sarah began, her hands nervously playing with a throw pillow. About the future? Emma remembered. They'd been on the balcony, drinking wine, looking at the city lights. They talked about dreams, plans, where they saw themselves in 5-10 years. I remember. You said your biggest dream was to have your own architecture firm, that you were tired of working for other people, of having your ideas limited by budgets and bosses who didn't understand your vision. Yes, Emma said slowly, not understanding where Sarah was going. And you mentioned that old space in Red Hook, the one that used to be a warehouse and was being renovated. You said it would be perfect for a small office. Emma remembered. She'd seen the space during a walk and been enchanted. Big windows, high ceilings, great location, but it was just a dream. She didn't have the capital to start her own business. Sarah, what does this have to do with... I leased the space, Sarah interrupted, the words coming out in a rush. For you. For your firm. Emma froze. What? For the past 3 months, I've been working double shifts to save money. I took on extra cases, worked overtime, saved every penny. And I talked to Madison and your other friends to help plan. Project E is your office, Emma. Emma Architecture. Emma couldn't process the words. You... What? It's all ready, Sarah continued, now with tears streaming down her face. The renovation is almost done. I ordered furniture, new computers, even had business cards made. Madison was helping me with the brand identity design. That's why the secret meetings, the deleted messages. I was coordinating everything without you knowing. Sarah. Emma felt her own tears starting to fall. I was going to present everything on our 2-year anniversary next week. That's why I needed more time. The last details are still being finalized. Sarah took Emma's hands. I wasn't hiding something bad, babe. I was trying to do something special for you, because you deserve to make your dreams come true. Emma couldn't speak. All the weeks of doubt, of fear, of insecurity. Everything was crumbling, being replaced by an overwhelming wave of emotion. You did this. For me? She finally managed to say. Of course. You're the love of my life, Em. I would do anything for you. Emma broke down in tears, pulling Sarah into a tight hug. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for doubting you. Hey. Sarah pulled back slightly, wiping the tears from Emma's face with her thumbs. Don't blame yourself. I understand. I was being weird and secretive. You had every right to be confused, but I should have trusted you. And you did trust me. You gave me the 2 weeks I asked for, even though it was hard. Sarah smiled through her own tears. Although you did spy on my notebook, Emma gave a wet laugh. Yeah, about that. You're forgiven. But now the surprise is partially ruined. Partially? Sarah smiled. The office isn't completely finished yet. And there are more things planned for our anniversary. So there will still be surprises. Emma held Sarah's face between her hands. I love you so much. You know that? I know. And I love you too. They kissed. A slow and tender kiss, full of relief and love and silent promises. You thought this was going to be a different story, didn't you? Sometimes love manifests in unexpected ways. Stay with us. Subscribe to the channel, because there's still more of this beautiful story. Later that night, lying together in bed, Emma rested her head on Sarah's chest, listening to the steady beat of her heart. Can I see the office? She asked softly. Tomorrow, Sarah promised, running her fingers through Emma's hair. I'll take you there tomorrow. It's not perfect yet, but you can see the progress. I still can't believe you did this. Believe it. You deserve it, Em. You're the most talented architect I know. You deserve to have your own space to create without limitations. Emma felt fresh tears burning her eyes. No one's ever done anything like this for me before. Then you were dating the wrong people. Sarah responded tenderly. Because you deserve the world. Emma pressed closer against Sarah, feeling safe and loved in a way she hadn't felt in weeks. Thank you, she whispered, for everything. Always, my love, always. On Saturday morning, Emma woke to Sarah gently shaking her. Wake up, sleepyhead. We have an office to visit. Emma blinked her eyes open, confused for a moment, before remembering the previous night's revelation. A smile lit up her face. Really? Now? Now, come on. Get dressed. I'll make 40 minutes later, they were in Sarah's car, a blue Honda Civic, driving through Brooklyn streets toward Red Hook. Saturday morning traffic was light, and Emma looked out the window with a mixture of excitement and nervousness. Are you nervous? Sarah asked, smiling as she drove. A little. It's a lot to process, you know? I know, but it's going to be perfect. You'll see. They arrived in Red Hook, and Sarah parked in front of an old brick warehouse that had been converted into creative spaces. It was 3 stories, with large industrial windows and a renovated facade. Emma recognized it immediately. It was the building she'd admired months ago. Here? She asked, almost breathless. 2nd floor, Sarah confirmed, pulling a set of keys from her purse. They climbed the stairs. There was an old freight elevator, but it was slow, and Sarah stopped in front of a heavy wooden door. There was a temporary sign, Emma Architecture, coming soon. Ready? Sarah asked, key in the lock. Emma nodded, unable to speak. Sarah opened the door. The space was exactly as Emma had imagined, but better. The huge windows let in abundant natural light, illuminating the polished concrete floors. The brick walls had been cleaned and sealed, creating an industrial chic aesthetic. There were already some drafting tables installed, computers still in boxes, a small reception area being set up. Emma walked slowly through the space, her fingers touching surfaces, absorbing every detail. There was a smaller room in the back, perfect for client meetings. The compact kitchenette had been updated with modern appliances. Even the bathroom had been renovated. What do you think? Sarah asked nervously, watching Emma's every reaction. Emma turned, tears flowing freely down her face. It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. Sarah let out a sigh of relief. Thank God. I was so nervous you wouldn't like it. Like it? Sarah, it's more than I could have dreamed. Emma walked to Sarah and kissed her deeply. How did you pay for all this? Well, it wasn't just me, Sarah admitted. Your friends helped. Madison did all the brand identity for free. Riley knows a furniture supplier and got a huge discount. And Jess, well, she's strong, so she helped move furniture. Emma laughed through tears. My friends knew about this the whole time? They did, and it was really hard for them too, especially Madison. She wanted so badly to tell you. That's why she was acting weird when we talked at the bar. Probably. She's a terrible liar. Emma walked to the window, looking at the street below. Red Hook was a quiet, artistic neighborhood with just enough activity. Perfect for a small starting firm. When can I start? She asked. Technically, whenever you want. The lease is in your name. I paid the first 3 months up front, to give you time to get established without pressure. Emma turned abruptly. Sarah, this must have cost a fortune. It was worth every penny. Besides, Sarah shrugged, we can always eat ramen for a few months. We're not eating ramen, Emma said firmly. I'm going to make this firm work. I'm going to get clients, do amazing projects, and I'm going to pay you back. You don't need to. I want to, Emma interrupted. Not as returning a gift, but as an investment. Because you believed in me when I didn't always believe in myself. Sarah blinked rapidly, clearly moved. Okay, deal. They spent the entire morning in the office, Sarah showing all the details. The custom cabinets that would still be installed, the plants she'd ordered for decoration, even the small coasters with the EA logo that Madison had designed. There's one more thing, Sarah said, leading Emma to the meeting room. On the wall was a framed piece. It was a beautiful watercolor of the Brooklyn Bridge at sunset. In the lower corner, a dedication. For Emma, may all your dreams come true. With love, Sarah. Emma couldn't hold back the tears anymore. She broke down sobbing, and Sarah wrapped her in her arms, holding her while she cried, tears of happiness, of relief, of overwhelming love. Hey, Sarah murmured, kissing the top of Emma's head. No crying. This is happy. I know, Emma sobbed. That's why I'm crying. The week after their anniversary, 2 years together, Sarah organized a small opening party for the office. Emma was tasked with just showing up, while Sarah and her friends took care of everything else. When Emma arrived at the office that Saturday evening, she was shocked. The space was transformed. String lights created a cozy atmosphere. There was a table with food and drinks, balloons with EA stamped on them, and all the important people in Emma's life were there. Madison, Riley, and Jess, of course, but also co-workers, old professors from architecture school. Even her mom had come from Boston for the occasion. Surprise! Everyone shouted when Emma entered. Emma stood frozen at the door, completely overwhelmed with emotion. Sarah appeared at her side, wrapping her arm around Emma's waist. Happy anniversary, babe, Sarah whispered. And happy opening. The party was beautiful. People circulated through the space, admiring, offering congratulations and wishes of success. Emma's mom, Mrs. Chen, cried and hugged Sarah for long minutes, thanking her for taking such good care of her daughter. You're special, Sarah, Mrs. Chen said, wiping away tears. My Emma was lucky to find you. I'm the lucky one, Sarah responded sincerely. At the end of the night, after the guests had left and it was just Emma and Sarah cleaning up the party remnants, Emma stopped in the middle of the office and looked around. I can't believe this is mine, she said in wonder. Ours, Sarah corrected, approaching. Emma Architecture may be your firm, but we're in this together. Always. Emma turned to Sarah, taking her hands. I want to apologize again for doubting you, for letting insecurity blind me. No, let me finish. Emma took a deep breath. When you were being mysterious, I let my fear create stories in my head. I let my insecurities speak louder than my trust in you, in us. And that was wrong. You were scared. That's human. But in a relationship, we have to give each other the benefit of the doubt. We have to choose to trust, even when it's difficult. Emma squeezed Sarah's hands, and I want to make that choice, every day. Choose to trust you, to trust us. Sarah smiled, tears glistening in her eyes. I choose you too. Every day. They kissed there, in the middle of the empty office, surrounded by dreams that were just beginning to come true. These two's story is far from over. Subscribe to the channel to follow more touching moments from this love journey. 3 months after the office opening, Emma was sitting at her drafting table, working on a project for renovating an old brownstone in Brooklyn Heights. It was her 5th client. The firm was growing slowly but consistently, exactly as she'd hoped. The door opened and Sarah entered, carrying 2 cups of coffee and a bag of bagels from the corner shop. Mandatory break, Sarah announced, putting everything on the table. Emma smiled, saving her work and turning in her chair. You're an angel. I know. Sarah sat on the edge of the table, biting into a bagel. How's the Brooklyn Heights project going? Great. The clients approved the initial proposal. I'll start the technical drawings next week. That's awesome, babe. Sarah looked genuinely proud. Emma observed Sarah, how she sat there, comfortable and natural in the space she'd helped create. In these 3 months, Sarah had become a constant presence at the office, often working on her own legal cases in the meeting room while Emma drafted. It was as if they were building something together, not just the office, but a life, a future. "Sarah," Emma said suddenly, "have you ever thought about opening your own law practice?" Sarah blinked in surprise. "Sometimes." "Why?" "Because there's space here. We could split the rent, each with our own area. Emma Architecture and Sarah Santos Law." Emma was getting excited about the idea. "Or we could even have a joint name, something that represents both fields." Sarah was smiling now. "Are you serious?" "Completely. You gave me this." Emma gestured to the space around them. "You gave me the chance to realize my dream. Let me give you the same chance." Sarah got down from the table and knelt in front of Emma, taking her hands. "You know I love you, right? I know. And I love you too. Then you'll understand when I say no." Seeing Emma's confused expression, Sarah continued quickly. "Not because I don't want to work with you, but because this is your space, Em. You built this. Your first clients, your first projects. This is yours. And it's beautiful to see. But when I'm ready to open my own practice," Sarah interrupted gently, "we can think about a shared space. But for now, I love being able to come here and watch you shine. I love being your life partner, not necessarily your business partner. Does that make sense?" Emma pondered, then nodded slowly. "It makes sense. But the offer stands, when you're ready." "Deal." Sarah stood and kissed Emma's forehead. "Now get back to work. Those Brooklyn Heights clients aren't going to redesign themselves." That night, back at the Park Slope apartment, Emma was in the kitchen preparing dinner when her phone rang. It was Madison. "Hey, Mads. What's up?" "Em, have you seen the news?" "What news?" "There's an article about new architecture firms in New York. And guess who's mentioned?" Emma put Madison on speaker and opened her phone's browser. She quickly found the article, a piece in an architecture and design blog about new talent in NYC architecture. And there it was, an entire section about Emma Architecture, with photos of the office and even a small interview she'd given the previous week to a journalist. "Oh my God," Emma murmured, reading quickly. "You're getting famous." Madison was clearly thrilled. Sarah walked into the kitchen at that moment. "What's happening?" Emma turned her phone to show. Sarah's eyes widened. "Em, this is incredible!" After hanging up with Madison, Emma and Sarah read the article together. The journalist had highlighted not just Emma's work, but also the story behind the firm, how she'd had the courage to leave a stable job to follow her dream, supported by her life partner. "She mentioned you," Emma pointed to the paragraph. With the unwavering support of her girlfriend, Emma took the leap of faith that many architects only dream of taking. Sarah read over Emma's shoulder, a huge smile on her face. "I'm famous by association. You deserve to be famous in your own right," Emma said, turning to hug Sarah. "None of this would be possible without you. We did this together," Sarah corrected. "You with your talent, me with my support, and love holding it all together." That night, lying in bed, Emma couldn't stop thinking about how her life had changed in such a short time. Months ago, she was consumed by doubt and fear, questioning Sarah's every action. And now here she was, owner of her own business, being recognized in design articles, deeply in love, and secure in her relationship. "Sarah?" she whispered in the dark. "Yeah? Do you remember that night when I pretended to be asleep?" There was a pause. "I remember. I feel so stupid about it now." "Don't feel that way." Sarah turned, facing Emma in the dark. Emma could only see the outline of her face illuminated by streetlight coming through the window. "You were worried. It was valid. But I should have trusted you. And you did trust me in the end. You gave me the 2 weeks I asked for. And look where we are now." Emma touched Sarah's face gently. "Where are we now?" "Happy. Fulfilled. Building our future together." "I like that." "Me too." They were silent for a moment, just appreciating each other's presence. Then Emma said, "Sarah, I know it's too early to talk about this, but do you think about marriage?" She felt Sarah tense for a second, then relax. "I do, with you, specifically." "Really?" "Of course. I mean, not right now immediately, but eventually? Yes, definitely yes. Emma felt a wave of warmth in her chest. Me too. When we're ready, Sarah continued. When the firm is established, when I open my own space, when we feel the time is right, we'll do it properly. A beautiful celebration, all the people we love, celebrating not just our marriage, but everything we've built together. That sounds perfect. Because it is perfect. You're perfect. We're perfect together. Emma moved closer, kissing Sarah deeply. The kiss was tender, full of promises of the future, of love that had been tested and proven strong. When they separated, Emma rested her head on Sarah's chest, listening to the steady beat of her heart. "Thank you," she murmured. "For what?" "For everything. For believing in me. For giving me wings to fly. For being my partner in everything. Always, babe. Always." 6 months later, Emma was at the office on a Thursday afternoon when her phone rang. It was an unknown number, but she answered anyway. "Hello? Emma Chen? This is Michael Rodriguez from Rodriguez Development. I got your contact through the article about new architecture talent." Emma sat up straight in her chair, suddenly alert. Rodriguez Development was one of the largest real estate development companies in New York. "Yes, this is she. We're starting a new residential project in the West Village, and we're looking for an architect to lead the design. Your work caught our attention. Would you be interested in meeting to discuss?" Emma could barely believe it. Yes, absolutely, definitely. After scheduling the meeting and hanging up, Emma just sat there for a moment, processing. This was the kind of project that could really establish her firm, that could open doors to even bigger projects. She called Sarah immediately. "Babe, you won't believe what just happened." She told her about the call, her voice rising with excitement with each word. Sarah was just as excited as she was. "Em, this is incredible. I knew your talent would be recognized. Come here. I need to hug you. I'm already on my way." 20 minutes later, Sarah arrived at the office. Emma practically jumped on her, and the two spun in the middle of the space, laughing and celebrating. "I'm so proud of you," Sarah said when they finally stopped spinning, holding Emma's face between her hands. "So incredibly proud. None of this would have happened without you. The talent is all yours, Em. I just gave you the initial push." Emma kissed Sarah deeply. An initial push of several months' rent and expensive furniture. "Details," Sarah joked. That evening, walking home hand in hand through the streets of Red Hook, Emma looked at Sarah. Really looked. She saw the woman who had believed in her when she barely believed in herself. The woman who had worked double shifts to make her dream come true. The woman who had endured being questioned and doubted, and yet never wavered in her love and support. "I love you," Emma said suddenly, stopping in the middle of the sidewalk. Sarah smiled. "I love you too. No, I mean, I really love you, in a way I didn't even know was possible. You changed my life, Sarah. You made me better. You made me braver. You gave me not just an office, but confidence to pursue my dreams." Sarah had tears in her eyes now. "You did the same for me, you know. You showed me that loving someone completely, supporting them unconditionally, is one of the best things we can do in this life." They hugged there, on the sidewalk in Red Hook, under the trees illuminated by streetlights, completely oblivious to the passers-by. "So," Sarah murmured against Emma's hair, "about that marriage talk." Emma pulled back, looking into Sarah's eyes. "Yes. I think I'm closer to being ready than I thought." Emma felt her heart race. "Really? Really? Maybe not tomorrow or next month, but soon. Because when I know something is right, I don't see a reason to wait forever." "And you're sure I'm right?" Sarah smiled, that smile that always made Emma's knees weak. "I'm more sure of that than anything else in my life." Emma kissed her again, there on the street, not caring who saw. It was a kiss of promise, of future, of love that had been tested and proven unshakable. When they got home that night, Emma stopped at the balcony door, looking at the view of Prospect Park illuminated by the city lights. "Remember when we met?" she asked when Sarah joined her, wrapping her arms around Emma's waist from behind. "At the gallery? How could I forget? You were looking at that mirror installation, and I was trying to figure out what it meant, and then you turned around and said, I think it means that sometimes we need to look at ourselves from different angles to truly see, Sarah completed. And I thought you were the most profound person I'd ever met. And now? Now I know you're so much more than that. You're kind, generous, hardworking, loyal. You're everything I always wanted but was afraid to believe I could have. Sarah tightened the hug. You make me want to be a better person, Em. Every day. They stood there for a long time, just appreciating the view and each other's presence. 2 years ago, Emma never would have imagined she'd be here. With her own architecture firm, growing professional recognition, and beside the woman she loved more than anything. The journey had its challenges, the night of the test, the weeks of doubt, the moments of insecurity. All of it was part of the story, but those difficulties only made the final result sweeter, more meaningful. Sarah? Yeah, babe. Thank you for not giving up on me, even when I was full of doubts and fears. I would never give up on you. Never give up on us. Emma turned in Sarah's arms, facing her. I promise I'll spend the rest of my life being worthy of that faith you have in me. You already are, Em. You always have been. And there, on the balcony of their Park Slope apartment, with New York City glowing around them, Emma understood something fundamental. True love isn't just about the perfect moments. It's about choosing to stay, choosing to trust, choosing to build something together even when it's difficult. It's about someone believing in you so deeply that they give you the tools to achieve your dreams. It's about being each other's safe harbor in life's storms. It's about growing together, learning together, creating together. And above all, it's about choosing every day to see the best in each other, even when sometimes we pretend to be asleep just to test. And that's how Emma and Sarah's story ends. But really, it's just the beginning of a life built together, with love, trust, and shared dreams. If this story touched your heart, subscribe to the channel. We have many more stories of love, perseverance, and new beginnings to share with you. See you next time.